Alright, hey everybody, how's it going tonight? We're back with another live coding session with RabbitWerks JavaScript, and we're working on the Tasker app again. We're picking up where we left off from last time, and I just wanted to stop and say thank you for checking this out. Thank you for checking RabbitWerks out, and if you're tuning in after the fact, that's cool too. If you want to leave a comment and a suggestion in the live chat, feel free. And we're just going to keep going and see what happens here. I'm just going to talk my way through what I'm doing. And yeah, we'll see what we got done. So basically, this is our to-do list right here. And picking up from where we ended, we broke out the last session. We broke out this add the task steps component into its own component right here. And so what we want to do is at some point tonight we're gonna break those SVGs out into their own components, and what I want to do is validate these steps when we add the task. So that way we're not adding an empty step to the task to the steps list inside of our task. Also, work on the additional details section. This part, get that styled up a little bit possibly, and start working on adding the complete functionality. So we're gonna check our task and make sure that we gotta add probably a checklist or checkbox on this side for the steps, and then we'll have a completed, I don't know, item icon or something like that. We'll have to make sure that everything is complete, and then if that's the case, we'll mark this task as completed. And yeah, it'd be cool to have like a little menu thing that popped out for each one that said, because I want to be able to save these and not just have them. These will be like, so to speak, like the current tasks, and I want like completed tasks to be archived, and we can send that to the archive where we can just mark as completed, so we don't have to go through and do that. So I don't know, we'll just start with completing it with the button, the master complete button. So, and then also if we complete all those steps, well, that doesn't necessarily mean that the task would be complete just because the steps are finished. So we'll have to see, but for sure a master complete button. And also I'm gonna get rid of these words right here and replace them with some SVGs too. Probably similar to this, although, yeah, okay, let's see. I think that's just a plus sign, but yeah, so let's get started on this, huh? And again, thank you for tuning in to RabbitWerks JavaScript, and music is brought to you unofficially by the free Code Camp Radio, and link is in the description if you want to check them out. And let's get started. Alright, so I think what we want to look at first, well, let's take a look at the validate steps part. And just let's walk through this a little bit first. Okay, so what we have right now is, if we add our steps in sequence, and they do pass along the important and optional features, and the delete function works, so that's good. But what we don't want is this to happen. So when we have an empty step here, so if we didn't fill it out but we still had it there and we push add new task, and if we look at this task now, you can see it has this empty step, and we don't want that to happen. We don't want this empty step there. So what we're gonna have to do is look and check if the last one is empty. And if it is empty, then we will have to take that out of this array, the steps array in our add steps component. We'll have to splice it from the end or use the method shift, I believe, to just take it off the end. And okay, yeah, so we'll take it, and then that way we won't push an empty step to our task. So where do we want to do that? It's gonna be so this submit steps method gets called all the way up here. We can probably minimize that. And let's see. So I'm just looking through the code base really quick just to basically jog my memory. I have a bad memory, so sometimes I forget what I did the night before and other coding sessions. So it looks like when we click the new add new task button, it emits an event called grab steps, and grab steps is listened for on our add steps component. And so when that gets triggered, it calls the this.submitSteps function, which is right here, and that emits an event called updated steps, and it passes the steps array in this component to the event bus, and on this event bus instance, it's listening for the updated steps custom event, and when that gets fired off, it takes the new steps, and with the spread operator right here that looks inside the array, it pushes the contents of this new steps array into our steps array here. And we use the spread operator so that it pushes the contents in there. It doesn't just push the entire array into the first index position of this steps array. So yeah, sometimes talking your way through it is the best way to figure it out again, and it's just kind of a roundabout way to get this to do this the way that I'm finding that works for me in this application. And okay, so question hanging in the balance right now is, how do we scrub for this empty step when we push our new task to our task list? Where are we gonna do that? We're gonna do that right here on the submit steps. Okay, so let us just we're gonna have to check basically like how we did up here. And actually, you know what, we can just take that whole if statement, because that's what we're going to be checking for. And what we want to do inside this is we want to, let's check and take a look. Shift removes the first element of an array and returns that element. No, we don't want that. Oh no, we don't want this website. We want the Mozilla Developer Network. No. Methods. No. Where is it? Oh, everything's all different on this website. Let's see. So we're gonna want, let's take a look. Is it pop? Removes the last element of that array and returns that element. This method changes the length of the array. Now we don't want pop because we want to just take it out and then return the array, not that element. So let's see. Well, okay. Okay, so let's do that. Because if we look in here, if we were to do steps.pop and then we look at the array afterwards, it just takes it out. So if we use that method, then the array should be what we need it to be. And we could also do this I suppose we could also splice it. We should just do that, I think. Let's see what happens first. Or let's use that as a backup. Let's just see if this works and then figure out what we want to do. So if we were to say, let's move that down. Or wait, nope, we don't need to do that. So we're gonna say this dot steps dot pop. Okay, let's see if that works. So give this a refresh, give that a thingamabob and a step and another dealy bopper. And what we're gonna do there is give it a generic title and see if that worked. Alright, cool. So that works. And then the reason why we're doing the splice, okay, so in this submit steps we're using this dot steps, the method, array method pop. It just takes it off the last index out of the array. And on the delete step method we're using splice, and the reason why we're using splice in this one is because we're not just taking it off the end of the array, we're passing in the index that we want to take it off at. So pop didn't work in this situation. And we wouldn't want to do splice in our submit steps method, because then we would have to pass this dot steps dot length -1 into that for the first argument, and then the amount of indexes, or the amount of entries they want to take out, which would be 1, but a little bit more verbose way, not over complicated and unnecessary way, when the pop method works perfectly well for this situation. Cool. So that's done. Let's just plus it. Now what do we want to do? Right, so let's take a look. And let's take a look and see what we want to do next. So we could break out these SVGs into their own components. So this is the exclamation mark, and here is the question mark, and then specifically the exclamation mark because we used that over in not this component but in our task details. So we got that right here again. We don't need that. We can just drop in a component there and make it reusable. And so I'm just gonna upload the GitHub repository link to the chat if anybody wants to take a look at the project. And okay, so what are we gonna do next with the SVGs? So what we're gonna want to do is I'm just looking. So we have this class in there for this component. And if we look at the steps, we have this dynamic class. Which, okay, so if we turn this SVG into a component, what we could do is pass this value to it with props, and then we're just gonna have to have these classes in the component file. Alright, so let's give this a shot and see what happens. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is in my components folder, or should I do it? Yeah, okay, so components, and then what I want to do is add a new folder, and we're gonna call them SVGs. Call it SVGs, and in there I'm gonna add a new file, and I'm gonna call it important, right? Yeah, .vue. And the naming convention for Vue files is capital letters for each word, so we're gonna follow that. All right, so the Vue file, every component file needs a template tag, script tag, and we're gonna need a style tag as well. Okay, so first of all, let's get this exporting. And what we're gonna need for this for sure is the props for that, and it's gonna be I don't know, what are we gonna call it? We can just call it important for now. And we have to put that in as a string. Alright, cool. So I'm gonna full screen this for right now, just so I can see my files better. Okay, so let's see. Alright, so where do we need to start here? Nope. Oh, I suppose we could just do the whole div. Action button outer. Yeah, let's do that. So let's take the whole div outer wrapper. And this is for the important SVG. So I'm just going to copy that for now, and we're going to put it in the template tag over here and fix up this. Okay, and with that, fill color equals current color, class important true. Okay, so let's get our classes in here now. And where do we need? So we took it from this outer action button outer. So we take that and action button outer, and then our step important SVG path and the important true. We're going to copy that, and we won't need the optional parts because we're going to be in their own component, but for now. So we can just take those out right away. And then this click listener won't be here anymore. It's going to be on the component itself when we move it. Into this add steps file. So for this we should just be able to do important. So that's the name of the prop that we're passing in. Okay, so I'm gonna bring this file over here and this one over here. So let's see. Oh, I'm gonna comment that out. Alright, so with that commented out, I can take a look at our app again. Let's just bring this over here. We can close these out for now. I want to get a visualization of what's going on. So what I need to do is pass in, or we need to import the SVG. Important end, and then so this is gonna be, we'll have to go up and then over and then down. So up, over, and then down. Cool. So with that imported, and don't have, okay, so we don't have any components in this part. So right underneath the data object, I'm gonna put in right before the methods, components object, and in this I'm going to say app dash important dash svg, and that is going to be important svg that we're importing right here. Alright, let's see. Oops. Okay. Now we have this imported and we have it set as a component. So we should be able to come up here and we're gonna say app dash important dash svg and see if it loads up. That it's there. Sweet. Now we need to get the functionality back. And because look, if you see we click it, it doesn't do anything. And all we really needed to do is just be changing its color. It's not really holding any value anymore because that's being handled in this component still, set as important step. So what we want to do is, if we look at our important component and we have this click listener here, we're going to actually take that out of this and we're going to put it on the component itself right here. And maybe that'll work, maybe it won't, but we'll have to see. And let's give it a refresh and take a look. Nothing. Okay, let's see. Oh, you know what? We need to pass in our props. So we have a click listener on it. We also need we're gonna say vbind, and we called it important, and that's gonna be okay. This is gonna be set to okay, hold on one second. I got this quote misplaced. Okay, there we go. So vbind important, which is the name of the prop that we set up in our important component, and we're going to pass in the value. So we'll say this, or wait, let's see, step dot is important step, and that should possibly work. We'll have to see what happens. Nope. Let's see. Let's take a look at this component in the Vue dev tools and see what is going on. Add steps, important. Do I have to pass this dot important into this? Oh, okay, that doesn't matter. Nope, okay. Let's see, so let's see. Let's see if this method is being called console.log I. Let's see if this guy is changing. Oh, okay. This one. Okay, so it's not being called, and I don't know if we can call that. Should be able to just pass it on. Should be able to just pass it in right there. No, this isn't what I want. Okay. I'm just trying to look and see my component v on my event. Do something. Okay, let's try. Okay. Before we go any further, I'm gonna spin that down and spin it back up again. See what that brings us. Nothing. Okay. Sometimes you have to try that. Let's see. Well, in this it says right here. Interesting. So okay, so that's that. Let's see. No. Yeah. Wonder why it's not firing when I click on it. Well, let's see. Well, I don't understand why it's not working. Important step. But if I take this out and uncomment this, I can just take that comment out. See, that works. Let's look at our component. And then, what is this method? Yeah, it's not even being called, so I'm not 100% sure. I think it should be called. Let's see what happens here. Okay, so they're reactive, both of them, and they're different, but this click listener is not firing for whatever reason on the first one. So that's our component, and then this one is our inline element right here. So what is going on? How can we get this click listener to fire? What if we just wrapped it in a div and put this click listener on that div instead? Oh, look at that, it works. Weird, I don't understand. Does it have to go? I don't know. Whatever, I'm not gonna debate the logic right now. Maybe I'll understand at later point down the road, but for right now it's working. You just put the click listener on a div. So that was really the point of like this whole thing right here, action button outer. But I don't know, I think it's fine. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Okay, let's take this thing off and see if it still works. Let's go moment of truth and delete. Let's see what happens. Cool, it still works. Can we push this respectively to the task with it passing its value? Alright, cool. Everything seems to be working. I don't like that you have to put that click listener on the div, not the component. I feel like this is exactly what it's saying to do, right? My event. Is my event custom? Okay, so on my event do something. Oh, okay, so they're doing, so if I were to say okay, so if I basically, okay, what we've been doing throughout the rest of the app. So if I were to say take this and we're gonna put that back on here, put that ending quote in there because I missed that. So we're gonna say on what is it? So we're using an event bus, so if we were gonna do that, so we'll do an emit. So on set important. Okay, so we have, if we look on the documentation, it says basically what it's saying right here is that even if we're emitting an event, custom event, and it's called my event with camel case, we need to listen for it in line with the markup as with the v on directive. We have to listen for it in kebab case because it defaults to HTML lowercase stuff. It says right here, due to HTML's case insensitivity. So v on my event would become v on my event, making my event impossible to listen to. So it's something to keep in mind. Very important. Okay. So what do we want to do with this now? So set important. So what we want to do now is put, can we emit an event inline? Yeah. Okay, v on input. So that would be for an input, but if we were going to put it on this outer div wrapper right here, we're going to say I don't know, binding native elements to components. And I don't know. We're just gonna see if this works really quick, I guess. So v on click, and we're gonna say set important, and then in our script right underneath our props we'll have a method. We'll set our methods object up, and then in there we'll have set important, and what we're gonna do is say event bus, which we'll have to import dot emit, and we're gonna emit set important. We might just be able to emit this from this component, but I'm gonna set it up with the event bus, and then we can try it with the other way and see what happens. And okay, so the second argument is gonna be, what do we need to, do we even need a second argument? It's just we want to emit that event was clicked, right? So, oh, where's this? We don't want to import that there. Where's that coming from? We want to put that there. That must be from an Angular auto import plugin thing that I have turned on right now. I should probably turn that off. Okay. Import event bus, set important. We're going to emit this event, and then I don't even think we need a second argument. We just want to emit that that event was fired, and then oh, what we want to do is do this. We just learned that if we did camel case, that would be impossible to listen to. Alright, I don't know. Let's see. So on here we're listening for set important, and that's gonna fire this method. So we click this, it emits this event, and set important fires this one, which should change the color. Okay, let's see what happens. And nothing. Let's see what happens. If we refresh, Excuse me. Okay, so sorry, I wasn't sure if I was on mute there for a minute or not, but we basically just pasted in our markup for our SVG, and in our script tag, we're just setting up our export default object and setting up our props object. And passing in there is going to be, we're going to call it optional, much like we did for the important SVG. And we won't need this event bus imported anymore on that, but so if we go back here and I don't know, when I'm looking at this, I'm not sure if like we would want to hold the value of the, if it's a optional step or not inside this component. I don't think we do, because we want it to be reusable and just kind of just an SVG. Of course it's gonna have this markup in there anyways, but it would be a lot more of this like bouncing from parent to child back to parent again. And I don't know. I'll have to level up my Vue skills some more before we figure out how to do this a little bit more efficiently. But for now, this is gonna work, so let's just get rid of that. Oops, not that. Let's look up here really quick, and what do we got in here? That's there. And then if we look at this one more time, don't need that there. And this is gonna be optional. Or is it this dot optional? Yeah. Let's try reloading this really quick. There we go. Okay, so we got it in there and it's displaying. I feel like this SVG is off and it's styling a little bit now. Let's take a look really quick. So let's see. So I just want to throw this class on there right here just to see what happens. Action button icon. Not what I wanted to happen. Do we even have, are we even using that action button icon right here? You know what? I don't think we want to include this outer div in here. Now that I'm looking at this a little closer, reasoning being is because it's throwing off the alignment. Really what we just want in here is the SVG, because when we have it in here, we don't want this extra div in there anyways, because it's not part of the action buttons at this point. We just want the SVG. And then, okay, so let's try that. So if we take this div out, or that class out of there, and instead of here, what we'll have to do is bring that back into this. So, oh, it's in here already. Well, wait a second. Maybe that was what was goofing it up. Let me just check. I don't think it should be. It should be normal. And we need to take this class off it for sure. So class equals yeah, I'm just gonna keep it out of here. Oops, I don't want that. I still want that div. I just don't want the class. And oops, add steps. Uncomment that. What do we call it? Action button outer. And with that, let's see. So it's up. Maybe we don't need this thing in there. SVG is our root component, and okay, cool. And that's there. And the X probably needs to be a little bit bigger, but not that point right now. Okay, so this, we need this gone, this gone, and then we need to put so the step important SVG, important SVG path, and then that is 3. So these ones, so we'll just copy all of these for now. We don't need all of them, but just to get them in there. And we don't need the important one. And we don't need this one. That's the optional. And then the last thing we should have to do is we look up here, drop this thing. We'll set at set oh no, we want to do click equals set as optional step. Move to pass the index in, yes. And then after that, we'll put the class on it of action button outer. Alright, and there we go. It's back in line. Cool, and then let's take a look at this X really quick. Let's do 2.3. .35. Just really minuscule adjustments right now. Cool. Alright, so we have that, and I think we might just break out this SVG. We don't need to, but we probably should. This step remove is just an image right now, and we'll probably just want to break it out into its own component as well, just to kind of keep it more modular. Let's look at our work log and see where we're at. We're kind of getting there. Alright, cool. Okay, well, I am going to take a quick stretch break, use the facilities and get some water and get the blood flowing again, and just kind of get back, take a breather. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. Stay tuned, enjoy the beats, and we'll be back right back at it with more RabbitWerks JavaScript live coding. Alright, I am back from the break, and thank you for your patience. You tuned in to another live coding session with RabbitWerks JavaScript, and we're working on my Tasker app again. Right now we're just breaking out these components, or these SVGs, into their own components. Making them a little bit more modular, a little bit more reusable. And we're learning a lot as we go along. So let's keep going. And what I want to try really quick is we're going to look at the main app.view. And I want to see if I can just target the container really quick. Bootstrap class, and I want to just bring the width up to like 95%. Let's see if that works. I don't know. No. What about max? There we go. Alright, just to give more room to work with for now. Give us a little bit more space on our editor. Okay, so let's look and see what do we want to do. We're gonna break this image out, SVG out into its own component. Actually, you know what? I think because this is a different icon, and it's different sizing and stuff, instead of screwing with the styling of it for 15 minutes, I think we're just going to leave it as it is for now. But the main two are the SVGs. That's the ones that we need to like get inside the SVG path and adjust the color. So cool. So we might need to come back to that, but work on additional details section. So this card right here, I want to figure out what to do with that. And what I think I'm gonna do really quick before anything else is just add this stuff to Git so we have a good benchmark point. Bear with me for just a few minutes and I'll have this pushed, and we'll be on to the next thing. We're going to work on this card details, additional details. And even like this stuff right here would be a good example of stuff we could just pass in as props and break it out into its own component, because it would be pretty simple versus what we're doing down here, because we're just sending data to this to display it. We're not doing anything much else with it. It's just displaying data. So we could do that. We'll have to see. I don't know if we're gonna go that far right now, but maybe in a future video. I think I want to figure out what we can do here. Make this a little bit more tied together, because we're gonna want to put our our archive, so to speak, or the completed tasks list. Be able to access that too. And yeah, we'll just see what happens with that, but just we'll have to keep that in mind, and I'll probably play with the design of this off stream for a while at some point and get a little bit more of a full idea of how we're gonna go about displaying the stuff. But I might do it live too, but we'll have to see. And okay, so what do we want to do next? So if we look at this details thing, okay, so I'm going to push this stuff to GitHub really quick and then we'll continue. Okay, cool. So we got that pushed. Let's continue on. And what we want to do is let's close out this stuff for now. And task details. Alright, so first of all, let's get this SVG in there, huh? And what we can do is right here in our script tag, we will have another import statement. We'll say important SVG from, and it's gonna be SVGs / important SVG, and then let's see. So we're gonna have to get mobile or media queries set up with this too, so we can adjust our task list and basically our CSS grids. Okay, and so underneath the props, we're going to pass in or set up our components property object thingy, and then in there we're going to set up our app dash important dash svg. So yeah, and I think in cases like this where you're going to use it multiple spots, you would want to you could declare it globally right here, or register it globally, and then you could have access to it throughout the whole app. But for now we're just going to do it locally, and if we need to change it, or if we want to, if it gets to be where we're using it in more than one spot, which we probably will, we'll refactor it out to the global registration in the app.vue file. Okay, so now with in our components object, and we have app-import-svg kebab case, and we're gonna say we want that to be called the important svg. And then so what we can do now is, if we take this whole thing and just hit the delete key like that, very simple, and we can add our component in. Okay, so it's black here. How do we fix that? Let's see. Well, if we look at the Vue dev tools in our task list, task details, what are these? How come it has 3 in there? Because it is important icon. I wonder why it's loading up 2 or 3 SVGs. I wonder. This one has 3, 2, and this one has 3 empty steps. If we add a task with 1 step, what does this have in it? 1. So it's loading in. Oh, okay. So that does make sense because we're loading in each instant or each step. We're loading an SVG, but we're only displaying it if if it's set as an important step with the V show. So we might have to switch that up a little bit. Important icon. Okay, so it's in the same spot. But how do we get... Oh, we need to pass... Okay. We need to pass in our props to get the color to it. Right? Yeah. Whoops. What the heck is going on? Pushing the wrong button. Okay. So we got our... Okay, so we called it important, and then the prop we're passing in, and it's going to be set to step dot is important step. There we go. Good. All right, let's see. We got errors, no errors, and we're good to go. Cool. And what else do we want to do here? So this is just our card right here. So we got that going, and that's broken out. We're using our SVG component, which is sweet. And then, so what we want to do is get this figured out a little bit. And let's see, actually, I'm not going to worry about that tonight because it's just styling, and we're not styling, we're working with Vue. So I'll do some styling off stream. And where are we right now? So what we want to do is let's look at this because this needs to be addressed. So assets, angle left, and we want to set that. It's not in the details. It is in the task list, I think. Let's see. And if I look at this, is from like one of the first instances of this app, task.completed. I don't even know if we're passing that in there anymore, if we're even using that. I suppose, yeah, we are. We have this ID in there too. Okay, because we've been focused on the steps components deep in this add task component. So let's shift focus a little bit. Well, really quick, I just want to look at this. 1 second, I just want to look. Card header. I don't know. We'll just have to get that styled out too. So I'm just gonna make a note. Fine-tune styling. I'll make myself look at it. Okay. And so let's see. We're gonna get out of this again. Look in our task list, and so we're doing that switch thing right here. And instead of that, what we want to do first, let's get rid of, actually, let's pull this back in and just see where we're sitting with that, just for the heck of it. Oh, okay, no, we don't want that. So let's just get rid of that. Don't need that. And then we're gonna look at this paragraph right here. And there are 2 spans, so what we want to do instead of that is we want this class name. Oh, nope, not that. Okay, so let's just give it, we can do an image for now. And it's gonna be assets. And it's gonna be this angle left. Yeah. I'm gonna use this in my website, my JavaScript portfolio website for my blogs. It's a nice little chevron or whatever angle left icon. And let's see. So we don't want it that big, obviously. Let's place a class on it. A task detail expander, and that gives us that cursor pointer. And then what we can do is give it some size. So let's just give it a height of 2 rem, too small, about 3. Okay. And then when we click it, let's get this guy. The click listener. So at click, it's going to trigger the method show details, and we're passing in this task. And that's just right here, and that's basically just showing it and hiding it, so just like we were doing before. And then it would be nice to just minimize that. So let's see. What is this whole thing called? Card li. Oh, this whole thing is an li. So if we were to do li we could do like 50 rem. Actually, this class, this group item, let's say whoa. Well, we don't want that because it's not going to adjust everything. So it does look like this. List item is a little bit bigger than the rest of them from the exclamation mark. And I don't know, more styling. Okay, so what I want to do is have this rotate. And then we could just probably set it like we'll do a dot expanded class, and that's gonna be transform rotate -90 degrees. Alright, so if we plop that class on this guy really quick just to see what it does. Expanded. Might be. Let's see. There might be a situation with the SVG. Again, I'm still learning about SVG, so it's kind of a mystery somewhat, but I have a sneaking suspicion that's due to the fact that it's SVG. So I think what we need to do and so okay, so this paragraph, we can get rid of that. And what I want to do is app task details. You don't need that, but image task. Okay, and so this is our task details. Again, and what I'm gonna add in is a checkbox. Yeah, so I'm just gonna change this really quick so I can simulate what it's gonna look like if this is in like a tablet. So the task steps are gonna be above, and then the additional details will be right here. And I might do something with this coloring too, because it seems like it's kind of throwing it off a little bit now, but more styling stuff. But anyways, so like tablet size would probably be about this size right here, and that's what we're gonna do with the grids, is drop it down to 1 FR, so it just takes up 100%, and then it just stacks them essentially. And then if we look at this full screen on a desktop and just undo that. So yeah, I mean it's gonna be about here, but we'll have plenty of room in our container for a checkbox. So maybe we just move this over, add in our own little thing there for a completed section. I don't know, let's see. Change this back down to 1 FR. You can see it. And then let's see. So right underneath here, this div, we're gonna want to put, let's just drop in another div, and in there we'll put let's see. Could give this a class of completed complete. Complete checker. I don't know, that'll work. And bring this down to you know what, we don't need this SVG stuff anymore, but let's see, so step flex, step content, so right underneath here. We delete that, what happens? Nothing, because we don't need it. Because we have it in its own SVG file now. Okay, so let's just give this a width of, I don't know, let's say 5 rem. And let's see where we at. Inspect these guys. Not that, this. A width of 100, that's too much. Okay, so with the width in there, let's throw a checkbox. So input checkbox. So what I want to do now is okay, so the step flex is on this LI right now, and I think we'll just set a wrapper a div wrapper with the same class around these guys. So the content and then the important step. And why I'm gonna do that is we don't need this on there. But okay, so we have our li. Oops, not that button, this button. I want to try and get this on the same line. Let's see. Let's look at the properties. I'm looking for the display inline block. Okay, so what if I did width equals 90%? Okay, so that moves it over there, and then let's take a look at it. Okay, you know what? We're using Flexbox, so let's undo that. This is what we're gonna do. Instead of putting that, we're gonna keep that flex on there. We can just move this up. Okay, and then so the step content, that's gonna be flex of, let's say, 9. What does this guy have on it? Input. And then this is gonna be a flex of 1. Let's see, let's try. We want that over and have enough room, 25. And okay, and then so let's target this SVG, and that's an important icon. I'm just gonna put that above this. Important icon, so in our classes, right in between completed checker and step content, we'll do important icon, and then we'll do flex of 1 as well. Let's see. Well, so if we do 23 again, and we do 3, 2. And then let's say we wanted to do border left 1 pixel dashed. We'd want it to extend all the way to the top. Oh, there's padding. All this padding around everything. We would want the padding to be on the text or the margin. I don't know. I'm just taking this off, but what I want to do here is can I just do align self? I need to get these things centered, so we'll do display flex and justify content center. And then if we look at this, it's center, and we'll do font size and do 2.5 rem. Or no, not font size. Let's do width. How do I make these checkboxes bigger? Oh, I need to target the actual actual input. So right here, name, blah blah blah, and type is checkbox. Name, we don't have a name. ID, I don't think we need an ID. Just need a class. And it's going to be called let's call this wrapper. And we can call this complete checkbox. Alright, so down here we just need to adjust this class name to wrapper, and then underneath that we'll set the complete checkbox, and we'll set the width to that. Let's just do 2 rem and see if that brings it up. Nope. Height. Nope. Let's see. Adjust the size. Nope, I don't want that. That's all super old. I do font size here. I think that's what it is, so I'm not mistaken. Remel. No, that's not right. I had it bigger at one point or another. When I first had that checkbox in here. Alright, let's see. Oh, okay, let's see. Task details. If we look at our styles, not font size, we have to do width to rem. might need to do, might call for pixels, but I doubt that it's specific like that. There we go. And we have a giant check. Cool. Alright, I don't think we need quite that large, but we'll do 1.5. Too bad we can't target the check mark inside there. How do I target that check mark? I want to make the check mark bigger so it expands out. I guess it wouldn't be that hard to make your own checkbox picker thing, but that's a project for a different day, mayhaps. But right now, what we need to do is get this bound to our completed property for the steps. So if we look at our task list object, completed equals true, and this is not, so false. Oops, false. So how are we gonna get this checkbox to this adjustment? So in this created lifecycle hook, so what if we do this? If we have, get rid of these media query things because we don't need that. What if we had marked completed, and that's going to be a function return or no, we don't need to return. We're gonna then bus.emit a custom event and then of course in order to use that we gotta first import it. Import event inside the curly brackets event bus from dot slash main.js. Oops. And then so we can call it here now. So event bus.emit, and we're gonna do step marked as mark. So don't want to say marked as completed because it'll be a toggle. So toggle completed. So toggle step completed. And then what we'll do is pass in we'll have to pass in the step and the index. Or no, okay, so we'll just say I, and at click will equal mark completed, or we should probably say toggle completed, just so we're consistent. And then we'll pass in I. So when, let's see, hold on one second. Okay, so when we have click this, let's look at this. At click toggle completed. Oh, it's not a method. It's not computed. And then so if we toggle, let's see, completed, toggle completed. Oh, we have to pass in I, and now what do we get? Okay, so it's logging that, logs that, logs that. And what if we had this set to computed again? Okay, so no, we need this as a method. We don't need it computed properties. Okay, and so when we click this, it logs the index of the step. And all we need to do with that, so we don't have to console log that. With that finished, or with that active, we're going to go to our task list component again, and then on this created lifecycle hook, we're going to write in, so we're going to say another event bus dot on, and we're going to listen for the toggle step completed event that we just set up, and we're going to take I to the index in this case, and let's see, what do we want to do? We want to set this dot task list well, we'll probably need to pass in, is this probably going to check for all of them? let's see. Let's just see what happens. So we should pass in our ID into this. Task dot underscore ID, and then with that we can bring in that information. Oops, sorry. Right here, so will we even need that? Let's finish the first part first. Getting ahead of ourselves. So task list dot task list dot step index dot completed. Alright, so it's going to be a toggle. So this task list dot steps index dot completed equals not this task list dot steps index dot completed. And let's see. Here in event handle for toggles, read undefined of undefined, cannot read undefined of undefined, and that is what exactly? So oh, you know what? I'm goofing up because we've been working on the add steps for so long that I'm confusing myself. So we're not setting that. So we're doing task list index dot completed. Okay. So we don't need this steps in here. Neither do we need the steps here. Alright, let's see if that works now. Completed of undefined. Let's see. This dot task. Cannot read property completed of undefined. So task list. How am I spelling it? Task list. This dot index dot completed Maybe I just need a method in here. Let's try this. And then what we'll do is set this to in the toggle completed method. Oops. And then what we'll do instead of having that in here is we'll just call this so this dot toggle completed index. Cool. And let's see if that worked. Index is not defined. Let's see. Reference error. Index is not defined. Well, it's defined right here. Let's see. What am I? Let me reference. Oops. Okay, so it's just throwing a ton of errors saying index is not defined. Let's see. Oh, that's because it's kind of throwing it right here. Okay, let's try that again. Not read property. So we're back to where we started. And what is this coming from? That's coming from task list view 84. Right here. This dot task list. Task list. An array of objects. So let's look at this really quick. Click it and array 2 objects. Let's see. So why isn't it triggering correctly now? How are we gonna debug this? Let's console log I. We can comment this out really quick and just see what that gives us. Okay, so we're getting a ton of errors. More errors, awesome errors everywhere. Okay, let's see. Okay, so we need, says toggle, undefined. And oh, that's why, because we're not passing in. Jeez Louise. Okay. Let's see if that works. Alright, we got that, we got that, we got that. Alright, sweet. Now, it was this thing right here. I didn't pass the index in. Okay, so with that in there, let's head back down to our... Let's see if we can just throw this thing in to just right here. And see if that breaks everything again. I is not defined. Oh, let's see. Index. Let's just see if it's passing in the index properly. Oops, index. Now what was it yelling at me for? I is not defined, all that stuff. Let's just get rid of that. And cannot read property completed of undefined. Okay. So we're running it through this toggle completed method that gets triggered when the custom event toggle step completed is fired. And it passes in the index properly. We get an error when we click the second one. Oh, you know why? Because there's no second one in this one. Oh, let's see. Oh, I'm so silly. What I'm doing, I'm missing this whole thing. So we need to set a completed value in this thing, in our steps, because that's where we're checking in right now. We're not doing the whole completed thing. So we'll set that to completed. We'll do step completed. And we're gonna enter that value as duh. Jeez. Okay. So it's gonna be false by default, and we need to set this. Oh, jeez. And one more. So this toggle completed thing, toggle completed, toggle step completed, and then we're gonna have to do toggle step completed. Alright, and then so this is why I was thinking we needed to pass in the index, because we're passing in the index of the step, and we need to pass in the index of what task we're on too. And let's see. So if I go into my task details component, and right here where I'm passing in the index, also gonna pass in the ID. Now let's just check. So props, I need to get that set up. ID is set to number. Alright, and then we also look in the task list component, and we're passing ID into that. So let's take a look at our Vue dev tools, and in our ID is 0, and then in this one ID of 1. Okay, so what we need to do is pass in, let's see, oh, wrong component. In our task details component, we'll need to pass in step dot underscore ID, and then here we'll have to pass in our, we'll have to set up a second parameter to take in. We'll just call it ID, and then we'll pass in an object here, and it'll have an ID and or the index and ID. So I think that's all we'll need, and then take a look at the parent component, and let's just look at, okay, so this is going to be index ID, and then what we want to, I'm just gonna console log this just to double check, but I think what we're gonna do is go like this. We'll say index dot index, and then index dot underscore, or would it be ID? Yeah. Yep. Okay, and then when we do that, we'll have to set up I'm going to pass these two options or two items into the console.log statement right here, but then before I run this, I just want to run up to the method toggle step completed right here, and we're passing in two arguments now, and that's the first one is the index and the second one is the ID. And then let's just see if it transfers, and we can comment this out since, oops, not delete it, we'll comment it out since it'll throw an error at the moment. And refresh it and we'll see what happens here. Console, and click that. Index is not defined. Oh, it's because we're passing index ID. And same thing for here. So this is what the data we're passing with the custom event is called on this component. And with that, undefined, 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 sweet. So dot I 0 undefined. Step, and then step.id. Okay, so we're passing the index, but we need to pass the ID. It's probably gonna yell at us. Oh, look at that. Wait a second. And okay, cool. So one of these dealy bobs ain't working. Passing in the ID, and it's returning it. The second integer here is the ID, and then this is the index of the step and the ID of the task that it's in. So let's refresh this, and I look at this is the first task, and this is the first item. So 0 and 0, and then if we look at this one, the second, and this and the first, it should be 0 1, and then 0 3 or 2 1. Oh yeah, 2 1. Since we're doing the index of the step for this first integer. So here, let's just go like this. Excuse me. We'll say duplicate this guy, and then we'll say oop, not that. Okay, so just for a little bit of clarification on it. Step index is 0, task ID is 0. Okay, so with this information that we're passing in with the event, so you see on this one it says task ID is 1. This is the second task, so the ID of 1, step index of 0. Cool, and then this undefined is coming from 89, so let's go right here. It's pulling back I is undefined. It's because I is undefined right there. It's I, not index. And look at this, and we got it working. I think it's going now, right? It's still pulling up an I undefined. 89. Let's see. Index ID dot I. That should be working, but let's just, there we go. Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta refresh. Okay, so that's all set, and then is it reacting, or we need to set that up? So let's uncomment this really quick. So it's this dot task list ID dot steps I, and then same thing with this task list dot ID dot steps I dot completed, and that should be what we need to make it happen. And we got a ton of errors. All right, so not read property 0 of undefined. Let's see. Oh, let's see, because it's in details. So dot details, and then dot details. Let's see if that fixes it. Cool. So yeah, it was in this task list ID dot details. So this task list dot this ID dot details dot steps dot steps ID of which one, and then dot is step completed. Okay, so let's see, and then let's look at the rest of it just to double check. We want to set this also to step completed. Log, we'll say that. And just take a look at what it says. True, true, false, false. Cool. We got all that stuff working. That's pretty cool. And so I guess for what we would want to do is in this method we'd probably want to write in something to check if all three, if we would like loop through the array in some way, shape, or form, check each object, then if its property step completed is set to true, then we would set the task list specific task property set to true, and then vice versa. So well, I guess we wouldn't necessarily want to like set it. If we clicked completed, and it would set all these to completed automatically, because you might not have that stuff done. But I guess we could just have it do it automatically, because I guess if you're completing the task, it's just implied that everything associated with that has been done. And yeah. Okay, so with that next part, uh-oh, we got an error on this. That's because this guy doesn't have those properties. So if we were to let's see, just comment this whole thing out, so that takes it out of there. But if we add a task, let's say say hi to everyone, and then we'll set the date to today, contact info, YouTube land, add a step, hello important everybody, important, and then add it, say hi to everyone. So if we look at this task and we look at, let's pull up the Vue dev tools and we will actually look at this closer. And if we look inside the second object, which is a task we just pushed, completed is false, but if we look in the details, you'll see that I don't know if it'll have it on there, so I don't know if I added it yet. Okay, so it needs to get added, so let's get that set up with our steps, and then we'll see where we're at for the night. Okay, so clear this, and we can close this and that, and we're gonna open up, we'll minimize assets folder, we're gonna open up the add steps component, and let's go take a look at right here is where we're gonna need to add it and submit steps. Step completed is going to be defaulted to false, and copy, and we're going to have to do the same thing on this one as well, just okay. So let's see how that works now. If we blah 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 task here and add another task here for another blah, and it's super important, add a step, another super long, ridiculously long blah, and then question mark. Oh, we need to get that, we need to finish and get that style reset up because we broke that out into its own SVG component, but we didn't relink the class binding, but that's alright, we'll get it fixed in just a second. And I click add task and look at this closer now and take a look at the Vue component in the dev tools, and let's see, that's that. So in our, no, that's not it. Let's see. Task list, app details. Yeah, okay. So steps array, and then if we look in here, it has the step completed value, and I don't know if that changes it. Let's take a look and see what we got. True, false, true, false, true, false. And that's in the second or ID, the task ID of 1 and the first step. Okay, so in theory, according to the console, it's working, but not necessarily reflecting the reactivity in the dev tools. And I know that they've been working on a lot of updates for this lately, and they're doing a lot of work in the whole Vue ecosystem. So I'm literally looking forward to the updates that are coming out soon, and it's gonna be sweet. But okay, so we got that all going now, and I think for the time being we're gonna call it a night, and we can pick up where we left off on our next session. And we're gonna be adding in the functionality to signify that the whole task is complete if we have these 3 checked. And then yeah, I don't know, we could do a couple things. We could even just add a couple buttons in here and just be like set check is completed, complete check all steps, and then like an edit info. I do like the idea of like being able to double click on the task, the step item, and edit it in line like that. I think that would be really neat, but we'll see what has to happen. And it's pretty cool. Oh, we don't need a breakpoint there. Jeez. Okay, so alright, so I think that's gonna wrap it up for this evening's live coding session. And I just wanted to say thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the content that I brought for Vue.js, working on my task app. And I hope you learned something, because I know that I did, and I hope you enjoyed it again. Been watching an episode of RabbitWerks JavaScript live coding, and music was brought to you unofficially by Free Code Camp Radio. Make sure to follow me, RabbitWerks JavaScript, on Twitter and Instagram, and at RabbitWerks.js and at RabbitWerksJS. Check out my GitHub, check out the repo for this project, and make a pull request if you want. Get involved a little bit. Say hi in the chat. Next time, leave a comment, like, comment, subscribe. Follow my YouTube channel for all the upcoming live streams that I'll be doing. I'll be working on some more projects and hopefully get a little bit more involved tutorials going as well. So alright, I think that's gonna do it then. So thank you so much for tuning in again. You've been watching RabbitWerks JavaScript, and we are signing out. Stay awesome.